Hey, it's bloody 9:30 in the morning, but I felt like making a little something happen today. Um, Basically, the gist of it is I'm often known as kind of the inventor to some extent of the kitchen dirt take, and I thought I'd give it a little bit of overview and a little bit how it can be played with the Clubhouse rework, or at least the Clubhouse changes, because it is changed quite a bit because of the Box 2 changes. Um, so I'm gonna go into that. Pretty simple. Should be fun. Let's get started. Alrighty, getting started here, the first thing we're going to think about is opening up dirt, okay? So, in terms of dirt, right here, you used to be able to place an invincible cade in this corner. That's no longer a thing, so you don't need to worry about that. Dirt should be pretty free, okay? The only worry is if they have any kind of if they have any kind of cade, they could choose to place a cade on this, but generally it's going to be done because you can just throw a nade through the drone hole. Rather simple to deal with. If you bring a Maverick and Hibana, you're going to want to Maverick open this side of dirt. Okay, so you're gonna Maverick open a little crouch hole. All right, but before you do that, you want to make sure, absolutely sure, that you make sight lines. Okay, little Maverick holes on this wall, or else you allow players to play up close in this Maverick hole, which is a free kill onto the Maverick, and at that point you've lost the round. Um, so absolutely make sure you make sight lines that can see into dirt to prevent somebody from playing close on the wall that you're Mavericking. All right. Second thing you're going to want to make sure you do is set up a flank watch. Okay. The great thing about kitchen dirt take is that you have to take very little map control, which means there's not too much to make sure they don't retake. About the only thing you have to actually hold is this kitchen flank. Okay. And the great thing is you have this doorway and even the chains repel. It's not shown too well in this blueprint, but there's a box right here with some chains up above it, and the gist of it is you can repel on this wall. All right, so let's say you have player one. One moment. Let's say you have player one right here. They can repel and hold this sight line, and it's a pretty advantageous fight. But it's becoming more and more common for people to be very prepared for it when peeking from middle main. So one thing that I've been liking doing, and this has been for a long while, because it just is simply an easier method, and especially when you're playing against a team with pretty high mechanics when compared to you, um, it can be a better option to instead have player one, for instance, play right here. He can't be seen by any sightlines. Okay, I know it looks like he may be able to, but he can't if he's right in that corner. And he can. It allows him to also deal with this stock flank a bit better as well. He can play a drone over in the bathroom. Okay. Um, and a drone over in lounge. The one I like to use tends to just be either really just probably over by the soda machine. Oh, that's a little bit doomed. Yeah, so generally over by the soda machine. Now you've got your flank watch and dirt open. Okay, so you've got our little hole. Then we can begin working and actually getting kitchen hatch open. Now the biggest thing is just a lot of people go for kitchen hatch first. The problem with this is that that means that you don't force a player to be playing inside of dirt. Okay, so in general they're gonna have to have one guy making sure nobody's coming down mid. Okay, or at least having information on it by just watching this default. Okay. They're gonna have one guy in back arsenal who's gonna be applying pressure to the kitchen until you get the hatch. All right. They're gonna have a player in blue or somewhere around blue, right? Watching for a blue stairs push or an oil pit push. Um, and then they're going to be their final player can be either a second guy inside a church, another guy back arsenal, right? They have a lot of options. But the moment you go ahead and um, you open up this dirt, you force a player to be inside of dirt, okay? Because if they don't do that, you get dirt control for free. Some teams will even force two players to be inside of dirt once you open it, right? So that basically makes getting kitchen hatch a lot easier because you know you're not dealing with as many players. And as well as that, oftentimes the person who's going to rotate into dirt is going to have previously been playing the back arsenal position. So always open up dirt before you begin worrying about kitchen, okay? One of the other big things about getting kitchen is that do not open up, or sorry, don't even enter any of this, okay, until you've already opened dirt, droned it, and one of the biggest things that a lot of people miss drone is drone above Okay, so over in logistics, it's not actually shown up here. Okay, so above kitchen, logistics, and also drone through the impact holes. So there's impact trick holes that are going to be right here and right here. Drone in and look through these holes. It'll gather you a lot of information. You can figure out somebody's nitro-selling, how many people are impact tricking, a lot of other information like that. It's super important to do. It'll help out a lot, and your drone is it's really easy to drone that without your drone getting shot most of the time. So don't enter this area until you've done that, and once you have, assume there's always somebody nitroing. Assume there's somebody always trying to kill you, especially if you're a hard breacher, or like Sledge. Okay, Sledge will enter first. He'll begin applying vertical pressure. The most important places for him to do this are going to be right here, okay, because that means he basically prevents anybody on this from pushing up on this side to impact trick, and on right over here, and it basically does the same thing. Okay, that limits them to, if they're impact tricking, at least having risk that you could be peeking them at a Sledge, okay, or Buck, whatever your preferred soft breacher is, but I think Sledge is definitely a bit more viable at the moment. Um, I'd also recommend making some back arsenal holes, like way back in back arsenal, okay, and later on you can choose to make some other holes if you'd like. A lot of teams like to make this hole. I personally think you shouldn't make it at least until you've opened the hatch or are opening it, okay? But once you've opened up these Sledge holes, okay, Hibana can go for the hatch. Make sure you're only using 4 pellets. There's no reason to use more than that. If they've K'd the hatch, which a lot of teams will do if you leave K'd up, you can either throw a nade through one of these Sledge holes. Okay, they're not going to have an ADS on the hatch. If they do, worst comes to worst, you've wasted one nade. It's not too impactful on this push. Okay, a couple other options. Okay, a lot of the time it'll be easier to do one of these other options. You can Hibana if you use 2 pellets on the side of the hatch and have no part of the pellets or like the red ring when you're shooting them be on the hatch itself. You can shoot them right next to the hatch, and it'll oftentimes get rid of the Cade if you do it right. It's a pretty hard technique to pull off, though. And outside of that, that's currently 2 of the better options in terms of getting rid of Cades. So I would focus on just doing those 2 for now. All right, so 4 pellets in the hatch, you open it up. Pretty simple, self-explanatory. Quick tidbit, if the enemy team is impact tricking, you're likely going to want to do 2 Hibana pellets at a time, or at the very least do 1 set of 2 Hibana pellets. Then if they have 4 impacts, they still won't be able to impact trick the hatch. So, now that you've opened up the hatch, okay, you apply the vertical pressure through the hatch, and through these holes, okay, that's why these back arsenal holes are super important, because you can't really peek these positions through the hatch, okay. Once you've done all that, back arsenal should be entirely clear, okay? So this is incredibly important map control, okay? But this is the big change. It used to be that with this kitchen hatch open, you would be able to deny them playing all of K9 or Gunrack, and not deny them playing anywhere except for box 3, okay? Now they have the option where they can play behind box 2, okay? They can play behind this part of box 2, they can play K9, and they can play box 3 and mannequins completely without any pressure, okay? So this is going to give some problems, okay, if we just try to go for the take as we normally would, which means playing 2 people inside of dirt, okay, 2 people kitchen hatch, and 1 on the flank watch. Previously, you didn't need bottom main control. It was a nicety, it did help, but it wasn't at all necessary, because you could have 1 kitchen hatch player hold an angle down onto the church double door, and this rotate, okay? You'd have 1 dirt player hold angles onto box 3, and you could have the last player either run on in or also go up to kitchen hatch if necessary and hold angles onto this bottom main position. Now, a lot of people, the biggest denial is you can go bottom main if you don't play bottom main and deny the kitchen hatch drop or the plant by holding this angle. But because you're actually safe once you get to the box, okay, and begin planting right here, you just need to, if you apply vertical up in kitchen, which is the equivalent of right here, they have these little holes on this wall, you can throw a flashbang through here, right? And it'll basically deny this player from being able to deny your drop. But because of these new changes to Clubhouse, right, with box 2 being a thing, and all these different positions being so easily played, you're going to need to take bottom main control, okay? So once you've opened up kitchen hatch, cleared back arsenal, okay, gotten dirt control all the way up to here. And I should probably go into that, by the way. So taking dirt control, you want to be doing it based on turns. This is a little bit of a scuffed map, but the gist of it is still mostly the same. It should look a bit more like this, if I'm not wrong. I'm losing it. I don't know. But it's a curve, okay? So you do it based on turns. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if they have a shield, nade the shield. Okay, don't Zoe impact it. Don't do any of that stuff. Just nade it. It's a much more effective way of doing it, especially if you have a Maverick on the board, right? It'll make it a lot easier to do it, and you're likely to get a kill off of it. If it's a smoke playing it, or somebody you don't want to push into, use utility to clear them out. Don't just double peek if you can at all avoid it, because every single body matters in this take. And if you're playing a 5-on-5 on site, and you've got everybody in your positions, you'll win. If you're playing a 4-on-4, you're in a little bit of a worse situation, okay? So try and keep that 5 bodies up by just using utility up until you've got all the map control you need, okay? So you've cleared out dirt, you've got all of dirt control, right? You've got back arsenal cleared, nobody's in it though, okay? And using utility and peaks, you can clear out this area of back arsenal. That means they can still play behind box 2, behind box 3, and mannequins, okay? And they can also, so, now you need to begin working on main stairs control, okay? Generally, I'll generally send our flank watch, okay? Or our second dirt player, alright? So, let's assume we're sending our second dirt player, because we still want a flank watch, because we're still worried about a flank, alright? So our second dirt player, they'll rotate up through dirt, okay? Over to this kitchen door, and then they'll rotate in through kitchen, and head down main. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean you're sending them in alone, right? You're definitely going to have somebody drone them in. Generally, it'll be your flank watch, seeing as by droning him down, he's also watching their flank for now, right? So you can drone them on down, all right? A little bit of a drone, down main stairs, yada, yada, yada. All right, but you want to make sure as you're droning this, be sure to drone a little bit into bar, make sure he doesn't die from there, and up the main stairs to make sure he doesn't die from top main. All right, you want to drone at least the top main landing. If you've droned that, he should be clear to go on down. He takes bottom main control. Now, super important with the bottom main control, it should not be taken, and the moment it's taken, you need to go for this execute. Okay? He takes bottom main. All right? My recommendation in general is you want to try and get to the right-hand side, okay? Because it'll just keep you alive for longer. All right? This guy will push you. All right? I can guarantee you there will be a player from Moto pushing you. But they only have 7 seconds if you go for the plant immediately. So you immediately get over here. You can hold this sight line, okay? It doesn't actually deny the box 3 player, okay? It does, however, deny this player, or at least from him playing anything comfortably, all right? And this guy can also be denied from pushing up from the kitchen hatch, okay? But by holding bottom main, you can now much more easily hold the sight line, which will allow you to prevent people from getting over to K9 easily. Okay, getting to K9 is the biggest problem right now because Dirt can't easily deny that. So if somebody from box 3 rotates over to K9, okay, or gun rack, whatever you're wanting to call it, he can then easily deny this plant. Okay, that's another reason why a cubby plant can be a bit more effective right now. I still choose to go for the box 1 plant, but it's kind of up to you. So you send your player bottom main. He holds this angle down through kitchen hall, or sorry, arsenal hall, and your player kitchen hatch will drop on down. So he drops here, so you need to be worried about this sightline. General recommendation, I would prone drop, okay? And then you go for wherever is best to plant. I tend to not plant right here, at least at a higher level, because you're going to have nitros, you're going to have smokes, and you're going to have a lot more pressure because people are going to expect you to plant there. I instead often choose to plant either on this box, which I call gun rack, but it is a gun rack of sorts, or if they've reinforced this wall, this is a super easy plant. You're very safe in doing so, and you can plant right there. These are the 2 places I go for right now, but box 1 and cubby are both also very viable plants that you can do quite easily. All right. Some teams will choose to smoke this church double door. It generally doesn't tend to work. There's often an ADS right here, and if you fuck it up and you smoke here, you lose the round instantly, right? Because you basically allow them free rotates around and about, and as well as that, you allow anybody who just sprints across and into the smoke to just deny the plant because kitchen hatch just doesn't have time to react. So I generally wouldn't go for the smoke. I would throw a flashbang down through the hatch. That's what I like to do. Throw a flashbang or two down, cause especially if you're Hibana or Thermite or something. It's pretty easy to do, and you're not going to have any problems with people holding your hatch drop. Or at least not if you're prone dropping, as well as that. You begin going for your plant, okay? Dirt player should be holding the angle into the left-hand side of box 3, alright? Bottom main needs to just be holding this cross. Hatch player should be holding onto the church rotate and I guess it's right side of box 3, and you have a player planting, and then you have one extra player. Never mind. No, you have your last player on your flank watch. Sorry, I'm a little bit illusional at the moment. It's still early. Sorry about that. So you have your last player watching your kitchen flank. A few things I missed and I think are going to be actually super important to go over. I'm going to start with number 1, okay? When you are clearing out dirt, okay, having that kitchen hatch open also allows you to have the sightline down into the dirt doorway, okay? Meaning that nobody can fall off out of dirt, so anybody playing inside of dirt is basically automatically forfeiting their life as long as the dirt clear goes accordingly. And number 2, I think when you're taking kitchen, if you notice they have vertical holes inside of logistics, holding angles down, okay? Generally the one will be right in this little corner, holding angles down on in, okay? Sometimes they'll do it above the freezer door, okay? If you notice they're doing that, you can send a player up to logistics hatch. I know I don't have it on this map, but it's basically right above here, okay? And I generally recommend doing a sledge. He can then rotate and do parkour onto the chains. There's a set of chains right here. You have to parkour onto them. If you just sprint it, it'll work, okay? And he can hold angles down through that logistics hatch, okay? And kill anybody peeking these holes. Or another option, he can just play on the side of the hatch and just quick peek and throw a nade down through there, which should deal with anybody playing there. If they're playing on this side, then they're no problem. You can just gun up and kill them. As long as you droned them previously, you should be fine to do so. And then the third and final thing would be when you are sledge, okay, before you go ahead and take bottom main, you want to open up a sledge hole right here and kill default. Okay, you could even just, if you're going above, you can just shoot it from above if you're sending, your Ash down bottom main or whatever. It basically just means they don't have information where you are, because if they're good, they'll be able to hear you on the cam and tell you if they're right or left-hand side, which is a huge piece of information. Alright, so make sure you're doing that every single time you're going down main. Okay, either shoot it or have sledge make a hole to make it easy to shoot. Alright, so those are all the different positions, okay? And if you're doing these 5 positions, you shouldn't have any problems with your plant. Of course, there's always more variables than that. They could have a nice row cell, they could take logistics control late, right? A million different things, but for now, if you do these steps, you're going to be able to win most of the time, right? You need to be able to adapt on the fly to whatever your opponents are doing, and the little minor things, but it's a super easy take, takes very limited map control. It's definitely the best take to do in ranked. If you're not doing this take in ranked, you're just actually throwing your ranked games, and I definitely don't want to have you on my team. But I hope that explanation kind of explained a couple things if you didn't understand them, and see ya.